Hi there, and welcome to Dreamy News with Clevia, Episode 2. I'm your host Clevia, and in this show, I aim to read to you the most thrilling sports news articles of the day in the voice they're meant to be read in. A voice to send you to sleep. A disclaimer. I have no expertise whatsoever in sports or in sleep sciences and cannot guarantee that you will learn about these topics or go to sleep. I do recommend, however, that you sit down or even lie down before listening to each episode so that if you do fall asleep, you don't hurt yourself. Maybe even close your eyes and take a deep breath or two just to relax your body. So, if you're ready, here we go. Today, I am going to help you nod off by reading two really captivating stories from the online edition of the Sydney Morning Herald. Our first story is a cricket article and is called Australia Tried Too Hard but Now Have the Balance Right, Cummins, and was written by Greg Ball on October 19, 2023. Bangalore. Australian captain Pat Cummins suspects his team had been trying too hard up to the moment they got the breakthrough that sped them towards victory against Sri Lanka in Lucknow on Monday. But now were in the right mindset to pursue a second win against Pakistan on Friday. He also said he expected a high-scoring game, unlike the first two. I think everyone in the team, after the first two losses, really came trying to make amends, Cummins said. Maybe even trying a bit too hard. For the first 25 overs, everyone in the field was diving around. When Sri Lanka were 0 for 125, the game seemed up. Then he coaxed a top edge from Pathum Nissanka. David Warner took a spectacular outfield catch and Australia were away. I would have liked the breakthrough to come earlier, but once we got it, I felt like we got on a roll which we earned, Cummins said. Cummins said he thought the game against a characteristically talented but unpredictable Pakistan team would be won and lost where one-day internationals generally are now, in the so-called middle overs. It's a phase that has been vexing Australia in this tournament. Most games of ODI cricket are won in those middle overs, either by not conceding wickets when you're batting or trying to get a few breakthroughs with the ball, he said. It's an area of the game we spend a lot of time on how to navigate through. We always say to our players, play what's in front of you. If you feel like it's a good opportunity to attack, go for it. If it feels like a moment where you need to bide your time and set up for the back thing, that's also okay. The batsmen in particular would have to be on their games. To date, they've been underwhelming, especially at a venue like here in Bangalore. I dare say it's going to be high scoring, Cummins said. Small outfield, pitch is always really good here, so batting is super important. I think the way the guys started last game really set the tone. Mitch, Marsh, and Davey Warner up front from the first over taking the game. That's what we want from our players. They're working really hard. They're doing all the right things, and I'm sure plenty runs around the corner. The bowlers would prioritise wicket taking over run saving. I think you saw a bit of a shift in our last game, Cummins said. Against South Africa, we felt like we had them relatively under control, but we didn't get any wickets. Last game against Sri Lanka, we were more aggressive, a few more bounces, got a breakthrough, and that's where you get into the game. It's always a balance. Australia are likely to name an unchanged team. Cummins said he would not take the new ball. He said he would naturally take the effects of lights at dusk and a likely dew fall into account at the toss, but added that it was not as important as in a test match. Historically, it made little difference. Cummins said leg spinner Adam Zampa was still sore but would play. The skipper shrugged off suggestions from former captain Michael Clarke that he would be dropped. A couple of the boys let me know I was being dropped, so that was interesting. Cummins said he had noted the Netherlands' shock win over South Africa and the way it had opened up the competition. It was good, I won't lie, he said. Ultimately, what it demonstrated was that all 10 teams were here on merit and none could be taken for granted. He said, Australia's next game is against the Netherlands. Meantime, Travis Head will meet the team in Delhi on Saturday, setting off an intrigue about selection for Australia's next match next Wednesday and for the rest of the tournament. Head will return to his opener's berth, that's for sure. His swashbuckling batting at the top of the order and his useful off-spin were key to Australia's original blueprint. He has been sorely missed. Marsh most likely will ease down to number 3 and Steve Smith to number 4. Deploying Marsh any lower would be too smart by heart. With his hard hands, he is vulnerable to early spin. Smith is probably the best player of spin in the team. All-rounders Glenn Maxwell and Marcus Stoinis are needed for hitting power and bowling cover, which puts the squeeze on Marnus Labuschagne. There are wheels within wheels here. Labuschagne is comfortably Australia's leading scorer in the tournament to date, but his strike rate is a modest 65. In mitigation, that is because he has had either to try to stabilise a wobbling innings or salvage the net run rate in a game already lost. It was the team thing. Labuschagne was not in Australia's original plan until Head's injury. Asked in warm-up matches to demonstrate that he could bat a higher tempo if needed, he did. He's been a good team man, but cruelly, the best he can do for the team now is to make way. For our second story, we turn to the Rugby World Cup, which is apparently currently in progress. And this story is titled How Michael Cheika Used League to Revolutionise Argentine Rugby, and was written by Jonathan Drennan on October 20, 2023. Argentina's coach has a semi-final date against the All Blacks on Saturday, and now he's being name-checked by the country's soccer coach. In Argentina, as ever, sport provides a welcome distraction from the difficulties of daily life. On Wednesday, Lionel Messi inspired world champions Argentina to a 2-0 defeat of Peru in a World Cup qualifier, and on Saturday, Michael Cheika will lead the Pumas into a Rugby World Cup semi-final clash against the All Blacks in Paris. The game against New Zealand is a day before the country goes to the polls for a presidential election, as Argentina once again wrestles with spiraling inflation and unemployment. Cheika has made great efforts to embrace and understand Argentina beyond the rugby field. He conducts his press conferences with Argentine journalists in Spanish, which may lack some grammatical finesse, but communicates his position perfectly. Cheika spoke of the passion of the Pumas' travelling supporters after the thrilling victory over Wales in the quarterfinals. I want to change places and be with them in the stands, Cheika said. I'm not Argentine, but what happens in the stands is unreal. The movement, the passion. It is something incredible. Hernan Vidal, is a former Argentine international who famously kicked all of the Pumas' points in a famous victory against England in 1990. Vidu has recently returned to Buenos Aires after supporting the Pumas against Wales in Marseille and credits Checker for his efforts to connect with the country. We can see his personality, and from my point of view, he's made an enormous effort to speak Spanish, even though he knows he speaks it very badly, Vidu said. It would have been much easier for him to ask for an interpreter and just answer in English quickly, and that's it. I think it's part of his personality and also how he respects the people in how he is working hard to try his best in speaking their own language. Vidu also credits Checker for bringing new ideas that have revolutionized the Pumas' defense, which was exemplified in the thrilling final minutes against Wales. I think he also took many positive things from rugby league and took it here to Argentina, Vidu said. Here, as you know, rugby league doesn't exist in Argentina, and Checker has brought new ideas and took this great New Zealand defensive coach, David Kidwell, from rugby league that gives our players different options in how they play the game. Despite significant economic issues in Argentina, the Pumas are enjoying buoyant support at their games, made up of the European diaspora and home-based fans who have made huge sacrifices to travel to the World Cup. It is now impossible to buy a replica jersey of the Pumas anywhere in France, with the jersey completely sold out in shops throughout the country. Principally, Checker is appreciated by fans for the results that he has helped to deliver for Argentina. In 2020, he arrived in the country as assistant to Mario Ledesma and helped to mastermind the country's first victory over the All Blacks in Parramatta, which was officiated by Australian Angus Gardner, who will also take charge of this weekend's semi-final. 2 years later, Checker had the top job to himself. He has created a siege mentality within the team, rarely engaging with local media unless it is for a scheduled press conference. This has caused frustrations with the Argentine press pack, who want to get to know Checker better. But equally, they cannot fault his methods as long as they get results. Checker's life with the Pumas is not about a charm offensive, although his linguistic efforts have certainly helped. It is about driving Argentina to the top of world rugby. Former Wallaby Nathan Gray worked with Checker as a coach for the Waratahs and Australia, and believes Argentina presented a perfect challenge for the Randwick man. I reckon Chick had a real good look at the playing group and the quality that was there, and how he could continue a lot of the great work that Mario did, Gray said. He knew how to get a lift out of the group, and he would have been looking at it from that perspective, thinking, I can make a difference here, and I think I have the tools to do it. Checker works with a completely nomadic squad of players who are largely plying their trade for clubs in England and France. He has to tie the threads of a game plan quickly, bringing together different perspectives and philosophies from his players. Gray points to Checker's ability to listen to different voices as a key part of his success at the Pumas. One thing you definitely know about Chick is, while he comes out and is very set in his ways and clear with what he wants to do, he is a constant learner and is thinking about how to do things differently, Gray said. It is very rare, but he is happy to say, maybe I got that wrong, or let's go down this path. He listens to other people around him, and that's his real strength. He is always very good with the players around storytelling and motivation, and just knowing how to get that balance really right. You can see in their footy as well, there are smacks of cheek in the way they play. They play a lot of ball in hand. They're very good defensively. They're a really skilled team, and they know how they want to play. And that's obviously one of his strengths. He is a world-class coach. That's pretty clear. When Checker has to travel to Argentina, he rents an apartment in Buenos Aires, goes about his work quietly, and focuses on upsetting the form book. In this regard, he has succeeded. Last August in the Rugby Championship, Checker helped Argentina defeat the All Blacks 18-25 in Christchurch, and also masterminded a comprehensive 48-17 victory over Australia at home. Checker has got rugby into the country's newspapers, which are concentrated largely on two national obsessions: economic issues and Lionel Messi. Rugby, like so many things in Argentina, plays a subsidiary role to the travails of the nation's soccer team. The World Cup winners hold a privileged place in the hearts of Argentines, and they are also watching the action in France. The Argentine soccer coach, Lionel Scaloni, name-checked the Pumas after their performance against Wales in his weekly press conference. Heroic, exciting, I don't know what else to say, Scaloni said. Whoever was watching the game got goosebumps. What they transmit fills us with pride. The Argentine goalkeeper, Emi Martinez, who became famous for his heroics in the World Cup, wears number 23. Argentine sports fans were quick to notice the similarities with winger Matias Moroni, who wears the same number and who dived heroically, putting his body on the line to stop Welsh winger Luis Rees-Zammit from scoring in the dying minutes. Cheika has imbued a never say die attitude within the Pumas camp, on and off the field. He has placed them against the world and refuses to compromise. He fights for his players off the field. He complained loudly about the World Cup organisers' refusal to allow Argentina to leave Marseille last Sunday for Paris, arguing they would lose a day of training, unlike the All Blacks, who were already based in the capital. To make it as a professional Argentine rugby player, you must decide to leave your friends and family at home for an uncertain future abroad. To play for the Pumas is a reminder of everything the players have sacrificed in pursuit of their dreams. Against a resurgent All Blacks, Cheika is facing the ultimate challenge in Argentina's third ever World Cup semi-final. You get the impression he wouldn't want it any other way. That's it for today, lovely people. I'm pretty sure you're all asleep now. I'm almost asleep. And even if you're not asleep, I hope you enjoyed this little break. Happy dreams, everyone, and thank you for listening to episode 2 of Dreamy News with Clevia. You will find links to today's news stories in the show notes below. When you wake up, if you enjoyed this episode, please like and share it and subscribe if you'd like to. My thanks also go to my son, Carl Frieden Collins, who has helped me with the production of this episode.